Hello people, this is Sonali, the Melodramatic Bookworm. If you've been here before, welcome back, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to the Melodramatic Bookworm family. I'm here today with an experiment that I thought I would do a while ago, but then I had to scrap it because of various reasons. But I'm here again, and in this video, or in this vlog if you could call it, I will be attempting to read as many books as possible in 7 days, in 1 week. So today is the 2nd of December and this will go on until 6 p.m. of the 9th of December. In the coming 7 days, I will try to read as many books as possible, be it from my TBR or be it from the books that I can actually borrow from the library, etc, etc, etc. But I've thought this out very strategically because I am choosing books that are thin, that I can actually finish reading fast. That makes more sense, doesn't it? I mean, there are like 509 books on my TBR right now, and that's not including the books that I want to read and the books that I see in the library every time I go there, and I don't pick up because I'm like, you can only borrow these many books, not more than that. Here I have 3 books, one of which I'm currently in the middle of, and I'm hoping I will finish it today, and that is All the Lovers in the Night by Miko Kawakami. And this is a very strange book. It feels like there's nothing going on, but it also feels like in that nothingness there's a lot going on. I will talk about this when I finish reading it, obviously in detail. So this is one I'm planning to finish. The second and third, most likely, I'm not sure in what order I will pick them up, and those are volumes 4 and 5 of Saga by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. I've read the first three volumes and I got really invested in it. The first one didn't give me that much confidence that it was going to be a good one, but as it progressed, I was like, okay, I now need to know what's going to happen, because it's like Star Wars meets Game of Thrones. During these 7 days, I am thinking I will also get the remaining 4 volumes which are available at the library, and that I will read them also. So let's see how this one goes. So that makes 3 books, but I also have quite a few books on my Kindle, and I can always go to the library to pick some books up. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm hoping that during these 7 days I will read at least 7 books, and I think that is possible, especially because 6 of those books are graphic novels, and there are some short books on my TBR. Reading is what's important. So this was to kick off this whole reading vlog of sorts, in which I attempt to read as many books I can in 7 days. I chose 7 days because I knew 24 hours was going to be a lot for me, but one of these days I will do that also. Like, the reason why I'm very wary of 24-hour readathons, of myself holding 24-hour readathons, is because on the day my readathon ended in January, I had held a readathon in January. That was the day when things just slipped, and I went into that whole abyss. So I don't want to go there, not at the moment. So we'll start slow and steady from 7 days and see how it goes. Hello, it's about 11 o'clock in the night of the 2nd of December, and a few hours ago I finished reading volume 4 of Saga by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. I'm liking it. Like, there's a lot of gore, there's a lot of twists and turns, and there's a lot to process in this series, and you have the most unexpected things happening, but it also keeps you invested. And at this point, I don't know what I'm going to do when I finish reading this series, whatever are available. But I'm going to get started on the 5th volume now. Wait, let me get the book. The 5th volume, and I will be finishing it now. So this will be my 2nd book of this experiment, of this little experiment. It's exactly 12 a.m. and I just finished reading volume 5 of Saga. And once again, plot is what plot. It's late and sleepy. It's another story of plot twist after plot twist about Alana and Marco trying to bring the family together, trying to save their child, who is the narrator, Hazel, from the hands of people who are out to kill her and who are out to kill them, obviously. And there are quests and adventures that the characters go on, and it's so mind-numbing, this whole thing. Now I want volume 6 of this, but I don't have it yet. I didn't borrow it yet. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be reading anything else right now because I'm a little sleepy, and I'm thinking I'll go to sleep early today because 12 a.m. is not my usual time. It takes a lot longer than this for me to fall asleep. Hello. Today is the 4th of December and I did get quite a bit of reading done, as you will know in this clip. And since I finished Saga volume 4 and 5, I also started reading Cards on the Table on my Kindle. Cards on the Table is by Agatha Christie and I just finished reading it about half an hour ago. It's about 4 o'clock, somewhere around 4 o'clock right now, and I finished reading it and I am a little conflicted about how the whole story went because it isn't typically like Agatha Christie to leave all those hints lying right there, but maybe it's just that I was looking for clues. I was paying extra attention to what was going on and that's how I found out. I just felt like this was somehow, despite my not seeing it coming, I did actually see it coming. This is a story of Mr. Shaitana, who is a very Mephistophelian character and who has this very evil aura to him, but also in the sense that he is someone who enjoys living life, who enjoys lording it over everyone else. So when he meets Poirot at a dinner or something, he almost challenges him to come to a dinner and tell him that these are some exhibits that I have, an exhibit of murderers, and I would love for you to come and have dinner with me and enjoy those exhibits in the process. Poirot takes him up on it. He goes to that dinner and there Shaitana gets murdered. And now there's a bridge game going on and there's Poirot over there, there's a superintendent over there, there's a colonel, and there's a writer of murder mysteries, which I feel like Agatha Christie made out to be some sort of a parody of her own self. I don't know why I had that feeling, but it sort of brings all of this together. Now they have to work together to find out who exactly was it to kill Mr. Shaitana. And now this death of Shaitana's is now, there are obviously 4 suspects, who the people who are playing bridge, and the question is which of them killed Mr. Shaitana. And now the pasts are all coming to the fore, and through that the deductions have to be made. Though until about 75-80% I was like, it could be anyone, but as the clues begin to reveal themselves towards the end in the form of the characters' behaviors, I was like, I know this could be the person, but this could also be the person because they did something questionable, and I know exactly what questionable thing that was. Basically the thing is, I really liked Cards on the Table, but I'm also like, it is not my favorite of Agatha Christie's. Like, I wouldn't put it anywhere near Murder on the Orient Express or The Murder of Roger Ackroyd or even Five Little Pigs, but it's good. Okay, so I finished Cards on the Table, and like I said in my in the first clip, I think I wanted to finish this book, All the Lovers in the Night by Miko Kawakami. I'm on page 124. I haven't made any progress in the past couple of days. I've just put this aside for some reason, because for this you have to have a notebook beside you. It's so sleepy, you could say. It's slow. it's not in the sense that, like I said, for Sarah Winman's Tin Man, that book is quiet. That book is quiet but powerful. But this one is quiet in the sense it brings out some agitation inside you. I'm just going to try and finish this book today. Although right now I have things to do. Since I've just finished a book, I won't dive into another one right away. Very unlike me, by the way. As and when I have any more updates, obviously you will see me. Okay, so it's 11:40 in the night and I just finished reading another book. It's a book, it's a story, it's a short story, it's a children's story, and it took me like 15 minutes to read because it's very short and it's simple, and that is The Velveteen Rabbit by Marjorie Williams Bianco. I mean, I really found this to be a sweet story, but it has its own morals about how to be real and what it means to be loved and the like, and I really liked it. I don't have anything else to say because it's a short one, it's a sweet one. That's all I can say also. But this is the story of the Velveteen Rabbit, obviously, which is a toy, and who he comes to live with a boy, and he's in the toy room, the boy's toy room, and he gets thinking about whether he's real or whether everything that's happening around him is actually happening. Also, he has his questions, he has his doubts. Another toy, who a veteran, if you could call it, he tells him that one of my favorite quotes from this is, generally by the time you are real, most of your hair has been loved off and your eyes drop out and you get loose in the joints and very shabby. But these things don't matter at all, because once you are real, you can't be ugly, except to people who don't understand. And I found that to be very real. It's a very nice moral, it's a very nice lesson to give to children. The importance of love, the importance of loving people, and the way you should never take people who love you for granted. There's so much to unpack in this little story. That's why I love children's stories. So this is my fourth book. It's 1:57 in the night, in the AM of the 5th of December, and I just finished reading The Overcoat by Nikolai Gogol. The first reason why I bought the book is because of The Namesake by Jhumpa Lahiri. It is mentioned in The Namesake. It is one of the foundations of The Namesake. The son is named Gogol after Nikolai Gogol. So The Overcoat is a story of government official who copies documents, who isn't a risk taker. He sees himself to be somewhat of a non-entity, and he does the same thing over and over again, but he's in such a low-paying job that he doesn't have the money to buy a new overcoat. His overcoat, his cloak is tattered, it's in pieces, it's all he doesn't have. He goes to the tailor, but the tailor says that, look, I cannot repair this, it's beyond repair, you've got to get a new cloak. And so he saves up money for months and months and months, and that's what energizes him. And he has this hope that once he gets this new coat, things are going to get better for him. And in a lot of ways, once he has that cloak, things do get better, but there's something lurking, and what's just about to happen and how it's about to take things from him, take his own energy, his own, it seems like the life is draining out of him, kind of thing. I don't want to give it up. I know most of you might have already read this, but I just didn't want to give this whole thing up. In a lot of ways, you see how the world is, and I can see why this is such a great short story, such a great story in the world, and why Russian literature is said to have, emerged, erupted, bounced out of this whole thing. Why so many Russian authors take inspiration from this one story. I mean, it has to be one of my favorite short stories of all time, my favorite books of all time. Now, at least after reading this, I want to explore more Gogol because there's so much meaning to it, and I also want to go and read more about what exactly the undertones are and what more the author was exactly intending to say in the first place. Hello. Today is the 6th of December, and just a few minutes ago, not minutes ago, about an hour or so ago, I finished reading this book. Can you please focus? It's called My Husband and Other Animals by Janaki Lenin. Janaki Lenin is a journalist who is married to a herpetologist and a wildlife conservationist called Romulus Whittaker, and he's American Indian. And in this book she has given out a series of articles that she has written about her life, about her and her husband's life alongside animals. They have a farm in a village in Tamil Nadu, and she has written about her experiences and the way she sees animals, the way other people see animals, and how our attitude and other people's attitudes towards animals as a whole needs to change. And this whole thing, it's funny, it's crisp, but it's also a little tedious because there's so much information inside. It's not a bad thing at all because it's pretty simple stuff, and she gives out this information in a pretty easy manner, be it related to snakes, be it related to frogs or dogs or pigs or crocodiles. There's a lot. It's normal that her reaction to snakes is completely different to what a common person's reaction to snakes would be. Snakes, I'm terrified of. Like, I'm terrified of animals in general, but the very thought of snakes is like, ugh. And in this book she talks about how our attitude towards snakes needs to change, and at one point she is like, people need to let go of their wimpiness, and I'm like, excuse me, ma'am, genuine phobia, what are you going to do about that? But I see her point, I see where she's coming from also. There's a snake park and there's a crocodile bank that Romulus Whittaker has started in India. The crocodile park is India's biggest reptile park apparently, and it's a good read. It's fun. All the information that she has told hasn't settled down in my brain yet, and I know it will take another reread for me to go like, yes, now I'll remember. It's more than just one thing, but it's also a fun relation of experiences that Janaki Lenin has done. I think she did this for a column. The title of the book is what pulled me to it in the first place, but I didn't know it was non-fiction though. In the last chapter, she tells us about her experience with coming up with this title. Anyway, so this was my 6th read in 5 days. You could say 4 days. 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 4 days. And I have 3 more days to go. And I'm super excited for the books that I'm going to be picking up, because the one that I started off and that I'm in the middle of is still sitting there. I haven't picked it up. And then there are 3 graphic novels. I think I will pick up the graphic novels towards the end, on the last day. Hello. Today is the 8th of December, and it's less than a day to go before this whole vlog or this whole challenge of sorts ends, which I have set for myself. 3 books that I finished. One was day before yesterday, one was yesterday, and one was today. And let me start right from the beginning, which is the book that I finished day before yesterday, and that is finally All the Lovers in the Night by Miko Kawakami. This is the story of Fuyuko Airi, who is a proofreader and who has a very solitary life. She lives in her home and she becomes addicted to alcohol, and she has this whole thing going where she doesn't have friends and she is not able to make friends. Whenever she speaks, it's in like monosyllables or just stunted sentences. The whole point of this book was probably to show about the poetry in solitude, or the angst in loneliness, and the craving, the human craving for human contact, like for the human craving to form a bond, a connection with each other. But I was so angry at this book. By the time I finished it, I was just like, I sat here staring at the wall for like a good few minutes before I went on Goodreads, and I was like, started typing very furiously. I know how it is to how droll life can get sometimes, but that's the whole point. As a person who is so introverted, who is so socially awkward, books are where I look for adventure. There's got to be some sort of something going on which I can hold on to, and which I can read about, and which I can live vicariously through. But this book is just a plain plateau, and towards the end I feel like it dips also. The author is trying to show the poetry in whatever Fuyuko is going through, and I see the poetry, and I see the poetry in her relationship with her friends, in her whoever friend she has. There's like one, and in the way she is so awkward. Like, I saw myself in her, and in other places I saw poetry. But come on, yeah, I just want something to happen in this book, something to happen. Towards the end, it was just like, this book is just a diary in which Fuyuko is just fawning over a man, in which she's pining after a man. Like, I know that also, I know that there's poetry in pining and longing, but how much? To what extent? Like, will you go and make it that character's whole personality? I didn't. It just felt so off to me. So this was a book that I finished the day before yesterday. Last night I finished reading Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I started that book just like 1 hour after finishing this one, because I was like, I need something to happen in a book, so I need to start reading a new book. And it was good. It was so good. Like, this is the story of Robin Roth, who is enemies with Neil McNair, and they are like the best in school. They are at the top of every class. They are so competitive that they have this habit of going at each other's throats for everything, be it co-presidents of the student council, or be it getting more grades in class, the higher grade in class, anything of that sort. And now it's the last day of school, and obviously they are now not going to see each other after this. But there's this thing that the school does, which is called Howl, in which all the seniors on the last day of school, they go on this whole scavenger hunt throughout Seattle, and whoever wins gets a cash prize. So there are like 300 students it starts off with, and then it comes down to 50, and somehow during this time Robin realizes that some of the other students are out to get them. So now their only way to win this whole thing is by pairing up with her worst enemy, who is Neil McNair. And how does this happen? What do they discover about each other? Forms this whole story, and it's a very simple gist, but it's so nice. Like, I'm not usually a fan of this whole, oh, I'm realizing things in just 1 minute kind of thing, but this somehow worked for me. I don't know why. Maybe because it was paced over so many pages. It showed that the connection that was forming, or the realizations that they were having, there's some backstory to it. And there's a lot of stuff building up over the past 4 years that have brought them to this point. So taking the next step, or if they will take the next step, it's going to be not much of a thing that they need to think about. As the author says in this book, romance books, which are usually directed towards women and teenagers, they are usually looked down upon, because it's not what the macho patriarchal society says that is right. Somehow we don't get that one thing, that one little thing that we have for ourselves. Anyway, so today what I did was I read a book during the day. I waited to read it during the day because I knew I was going to get creeped out and I was going to have trouble falling asleep. But what I read was The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. and it was a Kindle edition of the Penguin Little Black Classics, and it had 3 short stories. One is the Yellow Wallpaper, second is the Rocking Chair, and the third is the Old Water, sorry. And all 3 of them are so creepy, especially the Yellow Wallpaper has so many layers to it. It not just talks about how women were not believed earlier. I mean, now also we have those issues, but earlier when it came to women's health, women were not believed, and men thought that they knew everything and they knew how to take care of women by overlooking whatever they were saying, by not believing them, and they called it false and foolish fancy. When the main character says that she does not feel good, I mean bodily health, she feels a little better, but when she goes to say that mental health, that she doesn't feel well mentally, her husband John, she says that stop thinking about all that. In the room that she is locked in, there's this yellow wallpaper which she sees that it's moving around. Okay, now I'm getting creeped out. That's why I should have filmed this during the day. But she sees this yellow wallpaper which seems to be moving, and during the day it looks like one thing, during the night it looks like yet another thing. Through all of this, how her mind changes forms this entire story. It's a great piece of literature, although I feel like the transition towards the end was so abrupt, it gave me whiplash, but I loved it. And the second and third stories also, the Rocking Chair, it's also some sort of a supernatural horror when 2 men see in a house from a window, they see a woman, a gorgeous woman sitting on a rocking chair in the window, and they approach the house. They ask if they have rooms. They're looking for lodging. They ask if they have rooms, and they find one. And what happens after this, how their relationship changes, how their worldview changes, forms that story. And then the last one, Old Water, is about basically it's about how a mother treats her daughter. A mother, she marries a man, and she is not treated correctly, but then she wants her daughter to get the kind of love. I think it's somewhat of that sort, but the daughter does not want that, and the mother doesn't see it. And when a poet comes to woo her daughter, the mother encourages him, and this whole thing comes out. That ending was really, it threw me off. Pun was really unintended, but it was good. Like all 3 stories, I see how Charlotte Perkins Gilman took inspiration from her own life. Yeah, it was great. It was my ninth read in 6 days, because I still have tomorrow. 9th read in 6 days. But I've also restarted reading Manto's 25 short stories, which I had just put aside. But what I have taken to doing is I'm reading out his stories a little loudly, like I'm whispering them to myself, because I feel like that way I'm able to go through the stories faster, as well as understand what he's trying to say. Even if I don't know a couple of words, it's like, okay, contextually I get it. Okay, listen, by tomorrow I'm hoping to finish 5 more books. That will bring my tally to 14. One is Manto's short stories, and then there's also Kim Ji-young born 1982, which I will be starting now. It's what, 10 o'clock, 10:15 something. It's 10:20 in the night, and it's very short. Then I also have Saga volumes 6, 7 and 8 with me. So those are more books that I can finish tomorrow. And as I was mentioning in an earlier clip, I was saving them for the last day. So I have until 6 o'clock tomorrow to finish these 5, and I am fairly confident that I will be able to do it. It's 12:50 a.m. and I started reading Kim Ji-young born 1982 a while ago, and I am at 41% right now, and this book is making me so angry. The whole point of the book is to lay out the misogyny, the sexism that we have to face from a very young age, and everything that Kim Ji-young has gone through right from as a child to the point in her life where she has just become a mother, and the way she takes on sensibilities of her mother as well as someone else, I don't remember who, and she takes on her their sensibility. She behaves like them without her knowing. It's just, it feels like something is building up because there's so much backstory to it. I felt like the teacher who deals with Kim Ji-young and the whole situation, I felt like she was finally a sane one. In the next moment, she said something like, boys are like that, they are immature, they will treat girls they like that way, they will be mean to the girls that they like, and so why don't you be desk mates with the boy and forget about today's incident or something like that. What a load of bullshit. Kim Ji-young herself becomes very frustrated, she becomes confused, thinking that aren't you supposed to be nice to the people who you like, friends, families and everything? You're supposed to be nice, you're not supposed to make their life difficult, you're not supposed to hate on them like this. There's a level of relativity that happens throughout, and some I hard relate to, some I relate to secondhand because I've seen these kind of things happen to people. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm at 41%, and I am going to take a quick break. I don't know if I will read more today, but I will read tomorrow obviously, and tomorrow is the last day, and I will try to wrap everything up in as easy a manner as possible. Hello, today is the 9th of December, which is the last day that I have set for myself for this challenge. It will be a one complete week at 6 o'clock this evening. I just want to talk about the book that I just finished. It is called Kim Ji-young, born 1982, and I've spoken a bit in yesterday's clip as well, but the way this book ended, the way things came full circle, like the author managed to turn it into a perfect circle describing the most imperfect parts of society, the shittiest parts of society, the shittiest faces, reflections of society. This whole book, it follows Kim Ji-young's life and the whole circus that comes with misogyny and sexism. So I really loved this book. Somewhere in the middle, I felt like it sounded more like a Wikipedia article more than anything, because there were statistics and the like, but it is important. So I don't mind that it is like that. I went from giving it 4 stars to a full 5 stars to a 4 stars, and then now I'm contemplating giving it a full 5 stars because of how much it encapsulates. It encapsulates the pain of being a woman, the pain of not being able to say things, the things that we feel, because people are quick to judge us. Why are you overreacting? And it's ingrained into our brains that if I say something that I feel, then people are going to say that I'm overreacting, or maybe I am overreacting. So those kind of self-doubts comes up, and to see it happen in Kim Ji-young's life, it made me so furious. In just those few pages, just more than 100 pages, I had to pause so many times because I had to write down my reactions, because if I did not write down my reactions, then that would follow me into the next part and it would not leave my brain, and I would not have been able to concentrate. Yeah, so that was my 10th book of this whole challenge, of this whole vlog, and now I don't know if I will be able to finish the 5 books as I was talking about last night, but I did finish one of those, and I think I will be able to finish 3 more, but I don't know if I will be able to finish the 5th, the next 3 in the 3 volumes of the saga series. Hello, so it's just past 6 in the evening, not just past, it's close to 7 in the evening, and I was not able to read much over the past however many hours since I filmed the last clip, because we had to go out, and I thought I'd go to the library and get a couple of books that I needed for a video that I'm planning, but that didn't happen because the library was closed by the time we got there. Anyway, so I am in the middle of how many books now? 3 books actually. One I won't talk that much about, but One is Saga Volume 6, which I'm halfway through, and the other is Manto Short Stories, and the other is the subscriber pick for the month of November, which also turned out to be the subscriber pick for the month of December because it's such a huge book. This one. But right now, since this is my channel, my challenge, my rules, I'm going to read for the whole of today. I'm going to consider that also as part of this challenge. So I might be able to finish the complete 5 books that I was talking about yesterday, and I might be able to finish Saga 6, 7, 8 as well as Manto Short Stories, and get a start on another book that I have to read for a video. Hello. So this is to wrap the whole thing up. I just finished reading my 13th book of this challenge, which was Saga Volume 8. So I've read these 3 books today, these 3 volumes today, in addition to finishing Kim Ji-young Born 1982. Let me just go through what everything was about. But first, the books that I just finished reading today, it's Saga Volume 6, 7 and 8, and in this things are getting way more interesting, and I love the way Volume 8 ended. It just put a huge grin on my face. It just ended on such a warm note that I was like, okay, so this series does have the potential to bring a smile to your face. I mean, there was humor before, but that kind of warmth, that kind of sentimentality, unintentional sentimentality that you see, I think this was the first time that I've seen, and I loved it. Okay, I'm going to check the list that I've made for all the books that I read for this challenge. Let me just list out the names. So I started off with Saga and I ended it with Saga. It's poetic. I actually wanted to end it with Manto's 25 short stories, but that did not happen because of time. This is better, no? Huh. Okay, so we started with Saga, volume 4 and 5 by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples, obviously. Then Cards on the Table by Agatha Christie. I liked it as much as I'd like any other Agatha Christie book. It was not on like Orient Express or Roger Ackroyd level, but it was good. And then there was a book but also a short story called The Velveteen Rabbit by Marjorie Williams Bianco, which I really loved. It's short, it's sweet, and I love the lessons that it gives out. And then there was The Overcoat by Nikolai Gogol. Loved the nuances, the undertones, the meanings, the unsaid things that were in that whole book. And then there was My Husband and Other Animals by Janaki Lennon, a non-fiction book about Janaki Lennon and her husband Romulus Whittaker, their wildlife conservation, especially with Rom being a herpetologist. And then there's All the Lovers in the Night by Miko Kawakami, which I came into this challenge halfway through, but I ended up not liking it that much. I mean, I appreciate the poetry in the writing, but more than that, other than that, not a huge fan. It just made me super angry. And then Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon, a nice YA romance with some important topics about racism and anti-Semitism. And then The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman, and I see why The Yellow Wallpaper is considered one of the most brilliant works when it comes to women's health and women's mental health. And then Kim Ji-young Born 1982 by Chonam Ju and Jamie Chang. It's a great study in writing about a woman's life, and through that, as it follows Kim Ji-young's life, highlighting all the ways women undergo sexism and misogyny, and the ways society keeps minimizing us, our presence and our importance in the larger picture. Saga Volume 6, 7 and 8 by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples, which I've already spoken about. And that brings us to the end. And all in all, in these 7 days, I've read 13 books. I mentioned at the very beginning that I'm making a strategic decision that I will take on thin books on my TBR for this particular challenge. So I think I've made that, and the books that were on my TBR before we started this challenge, they were, let me tell you, I mean, Saga I borrowed from the library on a whim, so I won't say that they were on the TBR, that means on the books that I own list. I'll tell you which were on my list. Cards on the Table, Velveteen Rabbit, Overcoat, Husband and Other Animals, Today, Tonight, Tomorrow, Yellow Wallpaper, Kim Jeong, born 1982. There were 7 books from this list that were on my TBR, and I finished them, and it's such a relief for some weird reason. And I know that in the next couple of days I'll finish Manto's short stories as well, so that's another one that's going off the list for me. So that was the challenge that I put for myself, to see how many books I can read in a week without pressuring myself, that is. And the answer to that is 13. I'm pretty happy with it. So what did you think of this video? Did you like it? Did you not like it? How many books do you think you can read in 7 days? Short ones, if possible. Try to read short ones. And let me know in the comments below what you thought of this video and what you thought of the books that I've read in this video. I'd love to hear from you. I'll see you in the next video, which is coming soon, I promise. I won't be inconsistent like the last couple of weeks, but I'll see you soon. Until next time, bye and keep reading.